Hi guys, my name is Zach Devine. Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. If you like what you see in the video, please give it a like and remember to subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell so you never miss a new video. Thanks guys. Hi guys, Zach Devine here and welcome. Today we're going to start our series on chord spelling. This will be a beginner level series, so grab your instrument, let's get to it. So we're going to start by trying to understand where chords come from, how the notes are chosen to put together chords. So chords, your basic chord is what's called a triad, and what that means is simply a three-part chord. So there is a note that is considered the root of the chord. If we're playing, for instance, a C major chord, we would call the root a C major. And then if we're playing the third, we would simply count. So C to D to E. So C and E are the root and third of C major. And then the fifth would simply be counting up 5, or you can count up another 3 from the third. So if we start from C, C, D, E, F, G would be the fifth, or you can say C, D, E is the third, F, G is the fifth. Okay? So, but the chords are built from scales. So the way we're achieving those notes and understanding which notes to play as natural notes or which notes to play as sharps or flats is based upon the scale. So if we have C major scale, it's based upon the musical alphabet. So the musical alphabet runs from the letter A to the letter G and then just starts over, so it's cyclical. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then begins again. And the only thing that we haven't added at this point would be the sharps and flats, which we'll get to later. So for now, let's just think C major. So we're going to have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then we're back to C. Or if we're on guitar, we would have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? So the way we're going to figure out how to put together all of our chords, what we're going to do is we're going to build chords for an entire key as opposed to just building one chord at a time. And by using the scale, that's going to be really, really easy. So what we're going to do is we understand the idea of root, third, and fifth. So that's simply just counting. I always say if you can count to 7 and you know your alphabet through G, nothing in music should ever be really that complicated. What we're going to do is we're going to think about those 7 notes, and then if we go to spell our chord C major, we have our C, D, E, F, G. Notice we're just going straight through the notes in the scale. So we would end up with C, D, E, F, G. So that's C, E, and G gives us a C major chord. If we attempt to do that on piano, piano is very linear and it's laid out right in front of you. So you can very easily see the C, E, and G. And it's very easy to see on piano. On guitar, it's not so easy to see. If you're playing trumpet, obviously you're playing a monophonic instrument, or trumpet or saxophone or a horn. So you won't be able to play polyphony. You won't be able to play those notes at the same time anyway. You'll have to separate the notes. And on guitar, it kind of gets convoluted because of the tuning of the instrument. But essentially what we would want to do is we would want to find our beginning note. We would want to find a C, whether we play it here or whether we play it here, or even if we wanted to play it here. And we would attempt to then figure out not necessarily where the next note is, where the E is, but we would then go to the next string and say, okay, where are any 3 of the notes that I'm looking for? So if I have a C here, I then come to the next string, which is a D, and I go, okay, well that's D sharp, that's E, and now I know, okay, there's my E, and then the only note that we haven't played yet is a G, and it's an open string, so, and then for our B string, we've got a C there, and then our E string can be open as well, and that's how we would come up with that. We could use that same idea to end up spelling a bar chord here, but once again, that's stuff that we'll get to later. So what the next thing I want you to realize is once we're looking at that C major scale, we can now take that and say, okay, we started from the first scale degree of C major. We started from a C, and we spelled a root, a third, and a fifth. The root being, if we're playing a C major, obviously the root note is C. That's our starting point, and then we counted up a third and then counted up a fifth. The awesome thing is that now we can actually do that exact same thing from every scale degree. And that will render the second note is D, right? So then if we do the same thing, we have D, E, F, G, A. And that gives us D, F, A. That gives us a D minor, right? Or if we're over here, okay? So once we have done that for each chord in the scale, or for each scale degree in the scale, we will end up with 7 chords, because obviously there's 7 notes in the major scale. So having 7 chords now, we have what we would refer to as a diatonic chord sequence. And it's just another way of seeing what you could call the pitch environment that is C major. So if we're playing a C major scale, that would be kind of a linear, representation, like a horizontal representation of that pitch environment. And then if we're playing all of the 7 chords in the key of C, which we'll get to, that would be more of a vertical representation of that same pitch environment. Okay, so it's important to note that all of our chords in a major key are always noted by Roman numerals in music, and they are given Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for for our major key. And it's very, very convenient and very important to note that when we're spelling triads, 3-note chords. So in later parts of this series, we'll get into spelling 4-note chords, which would be 7th chords, and then we can get into more complicated spellings where we involve upper structures like 9ths and 11ths and 13ths. But at this moment, just spelling triads, 3-note chords, we would end up with those 7 chords being the first chord, and normally we'll always refer to so if it's the first chord, we'll call it the 1 chord, and then the 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, and so on. So the 1 chord, 4 chord, and 5 chord will always be major. The 2, 3, and 6 chords will always be minor, and the 7 chord will be a diminished chord. I want you to kind of put a pin in the diminished chord for now. We'll come back to that. There's a lot of different uses for diminished chords, but we're not going to get into those just yet. So understanding that those chords will always have the same property no matter what key you're in takes a lot of guesswork out of it. Then you just simply have to know your musical alphabet. So in the key of C, we'll break down and we'll understand that we have a C major, and that's our 1 chord, right? And then our 2 chord would be a D minor. Our 3 chord would be an E minor. Our 4 chord would be an F major. Our 5 would be a G major. Our 6 chord would be an A minor. And our 7 chord would be a B diminished. And then we're back to C. Okay, so those are the 7 chords in the key of C major. All right, so tune in next time. The next part in the series, we're going to start delving further into this. We're going to look at how we would then factor in different keys and how we could build upon that. And then in later parts of the series, we'll also talk about chord progressions and how we can then use chords as arpeggios to utilize as improvisation and all kind of really cool stuff. So stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. Thanks, guys.